Warm sunlight kisses your shoulders as you stroll through a blooming garden. Faint songbirds in the distance. Now, picture strumming a guitar for the first time at 79. Would you dare chase a new dream when others say it's too late? Just last week, Dolly Parton, Queen of Country, beloved by millions, shocked the world. A surprise rock album. At 79, fans roared, critics scrambled to catch up, and the internet nearly melted. But why does this moment matter so deeply, especially to you, right now? Because this is not just about Dolly. It's about you. About legacy, reinvention, the power to bloom, even when others expect you to fade. In the next few moments, I'll share the first spark that lit Dolly's bold new path, and one clue to the twist that will unfold by the end of our time together. You won't want to miss it. Let's begin. Dolly's announcement came out of nowhere. One crisp June morning, she posted a short clip. "Rock album's coming, y'all. Can't wait for you to hear it." At first, the reaction was shock. She's built an empire on country melodies and timeless ballads. Rock was new ground, unknown territory. But then something remarkable happened. Within hours, hashtags trended. Clips from her electrifying performance on The Tonight Show went viral. People of all ages, all walks of life, asked the same question. How is she still reinventing herself? Now, you might be wondering, could you do the same? That's exactly what we'll explore today, because it's never too late for a new beat. Let's rewind. Dolly's life has always been about change. From poverty in the Smoky Mountains to Nashville stardom, from country sweetheart to global icon. Reinvention wasn't a phase. It was her way of surviving, thriving. But the spark for this rock album? It began with a simple challenge. Last year, Dolly was nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She hesitated. She even declined, saying, "I don't feel I've earned it yet." That moment gnawed at her. Could she prove she belonged? Could she create something entirely new? Not because she had to, but because she wanted to? It was that quiet question, in the dead of night, that started the fire. And here's your clue for later. In one late-night studio session, an unexpected guest would change the course of this album. I'll tell you who, but not yet. First, we need to understand how creativity, yours, mine, and Dolly's, works in later life. Because what you've been told, it's mostly wrong. Until then, let me leave you with this thought. It's never too late for a new beat. Now think about this. Why do most people believe creativity fades with age? You've probably heard it, maybe even thought it yourself. I'm too old to start that. That's for the young. But is it really true? Neuroscience says otherwise. Studies show that divergent thinking, that spark of new ideas, often remains strong well into our 70s, 80s, beyond. One surprising fact, according to a recent NEA report, creative output among Americans aged 65 and older has doubled since 2010. Doubled. And here's something fascinating. In Japan, older artists are celebrated. Kabuki actors perform into their 90s. Ceramic masters take apprentices well past 70. They see age as adding depth, not taking it away. You might be wondering, could you tap into that same creative energy? The answer is yes, and Dolly's journey proves it. After the Rock Hall nomination, she didn't retreat. She got curious. What would it sound like, she asked herself, if I truly embraced rock and roll? She reached out to producers, to musicians decades younger. And that's when the doubts crept in. One longtime friend asked gently, "Are you sure? What if it doesn't land?" Her answer, "Honey, I'd rather fall on my face trying something new than sit back safe and stale." And maybe that's a question for you today. When was the last time you dared to try something just because it excited you? Because it's never too late for a new beat. By now, the album sessions were underway. Late nights, loud guitars, raw vocals. Dolly thrived on the challenge, but not without moments of self-doubt. One night, she almost pulled the plug. Why? You'll find out soon, because that decision led to a twist no one saw coming. Before we move on, here's a question for you. If you could start any creative project tomorrow, what would it be? Or would you mentor someone younger to do the same? Next, we'll explore how a surprising mentor helped Dolly through her own doubts, and it might inspire you to seek one of your own. Remember, it's never too late for a new beat. So there she was, surrounded by amplifiers, lyrics scrawled on napkins, voice worn from hours in the studio. And self-doubt whispered again, "Maybe this isn't you, Dolly. Maybe this is too far." But then, something unexpected happened. One evening, her team brought in a producer named Kenji Yamamoto. You may not know his name, but in Japan, Kenji is a legend, known for blending traditional Japanese sounds with modern rock. He's 72 and still touring. Kenji listened quietly to the rough cuts. Then he said one thing that stuck. Rock is about truth, not age. If your truth is in this music, you belong here. That single sentence lit a fire. Dolly later said, "That's when I stopped thinking about age and started thinking about heart." And here's a stat you might love. A recent survey found that 68% of Japanese seniors engage in new creative pursuits after 65. It's baked into their culture of lifelong learning, something we can all learn from. You might be wondering, who could be your Kenji? A mentor, a friend, someone to remind you it's your heart that matters, not the number on your birthday cake. Because it's never too late for a new beat. With new confidence, Dolly returned to the studio. The band noticed. The tracks grew bolder. One song, in particular, her most daring yet, was almost cut from the album. Why? I'll tell you soon. For now, think about this. Creativity is not a young person's game. It is a human game. And as long as you're alive, your voice matters. Next, we'll dive into how Dolly's lifelong approach to creativity defies every age-based expectation. And I'll share a stat that might just surprise you. It's never too late for a new beat. Dolly Parton has always danced with reinvention. Country star, philanthropist, businesswoman, now rock rebel. But how? How does she keep finding new beats when most people settle into what's comfortable? Here's the key. Curiosity. Dolly's never stopped asking what if. You might be thinking, sure, but that's Dolly. She's special. But here's a surprising truth. The brain's capacity for creative thinking can grow with age if you keep using it. One Harvard study showed that seniors who pursued new creative hobbies experienced sharper memory, greater well-being, and stronger emotional resilience. Creativity, it turns out, is like a muscle. The more you flex it, the stronger it gets. You might be wondering, could you flex that muscle again? Because it's never too late for a new beat. Now, back in the studio, Dolly faced her next big hurdle. One track, a raw, blues-infused anthem called Fire Inside, was stirring controversy among her team. Some argued it didn't fit. Too gritty, too bold. It clashed with her usual image. And that's when Dolly asked the room, is this album about comfort? Or is it about truth? No one spoke. Decision made. Fire Inside stayed. And here's where I want to hear from you. If you had to choose, would you start a new creative project today or mentor someone younger to do the same? Tell me what you think. Next, we'll uncover how one surprising stat about seniors and creativity might just blow your mind. And I'll share how Dolly tapped into that very trend. Because it's never too late for a new beat. Let's talk about a myth. You've probably heard it. Creativity declines sharply after 60. Sounds logical, right? The world often assumes that after retirement, our best ideas are behind us. But the facts tell a different story. Dr. Gene Cohen, a pioneer in aging and creativity research, once said, "Creativity is a vital part of healthy aging. It stimulates the mind, lifts the spirit, and fosters connection." In fact, neuroscientists now know that the brain's ability to form new connections, neuroplasticity, continues well into later life, especially when you engage in creative work. One stat that still surprises people: older volunteers in creative programs boost community well-being by 30%. That's from a Johns Hopkins study. You might be wondering, could your creativity lift not just your life, but those around you? Because it's never too late for a new beat. Meanwhile, Dolly embraced this truth. After deciding to keep Fire Inside, she went even further, invited younger rock musicians into the studio, asked for their ideas, shared her own. A cross-generational jam session, night after night. And here's the beauty. Creativity thrived because of the mix of ages, not in spite of it. Now, here's a thought. If you opened a door to younger creators, or to those older than you, what could you create together? Next time, we'll explore one moment where Dolly almost walked away from the project entirely, and what pulled her back in. You won't want to miss it, because it's never too late for a new beat. Picture this. 3 months into recording, long days, longer nights. The album was taking shape, but exhaustion was setting in. Dolly, ever the perfectionist, began doubting. Is this really good enough? Or am I just fooling myself? And here's where a moral dilemma appeared. Should she keep pushing, risking burnout and public failure, or step back to protect the image she'd built over a lifetime? You might be wondering, what would you choose in that moment? Because it's never too late for a new beat. Now, during one quiet evening, Dolly sat alone in the studio. No cameras, no press, just her and a worn notebook. She flipped through old lyrics, remembered why she started, to express truth, not to chase perfection. Then a message arrived. A fan, age 78, had written, "Your courage inspires me to pick up the paintbrush again. Thank you." Breathe. That single sentence changed everything. Dolly realized this album wasn't just about her. It was about sparking others to create too. And here's a surprising stat. Americans over 65 now account for nearly 1 in 5 creators on platforms like YouTube and Etsy. The myth of aging equals decline, crumbling fast. You might be wondering, could one bold step of yours inspire someone else? Because it's never too late for a new beat. Re-energized, Dolly returned to the studio with fresh purpose. The moral dilemma resolved. She'd rather risk imperfection than silence her authentic voice. Next, we'll uncover a surprising mentor who entered the picture. Someone who shaped the album's final sound in an unexpected way. Until then, remember, it's never too late for a new beat. Momentum was building. The album was nearly done. But Dolly, ever the seeker, wanted one more element. A bridge between her country roots and her bold new rock sound. That's when an unlikely mentor appeared. Through a mutual friend, Dolly connected with Ichiro Tanaka, an 83-year-old Japanese shamisen master. The shamisen is a 3-stringed instrument, bright and raw, often used in Japanese folk and modern fusion music. Ichiro had heard of Dolly. She'd never heard a shamisen played live. Their first conversation? Pure magic. Ichiro said, "Your voice carries stories. Let the strings do the same." That simple wisdom reshaped one of the album's closing tracks. On a late night, Ichiro recorded a haunting shamisen intro, woven into the song you'll hear soon. And here's the twist. This fusion became a fan favorite in early album previews. Proof that blending old and new, East and West, can create something timeless. You might be wondering, could you learn from someone unexpected? Age, culture, background, none of it matters when curiosity leads. Because it's never too late for a new beat. Now, a little suspense. One daring track nearly got cut because it clashed with expectations from industry execs. I'll reveal what happened soon. Before we move on, I'd love your guess. What genre do you think Dolly secretly wanted to try before choosing rock? Next, we'll explore the global conversation this album has sparked and what it means for creativity in later life. Because it's never too late for a new beat. The album announcement didn't just ripple through country and rock fans. It sparked a global conversation. News outlets from Tokyo to London to Sao Paulo ran headlines. Dolly Parton reinvents at 79. On social media, hashtags surged. Number creative aging. Number never too late. But why did this resonate so deeply? Because in a world that often sidelines the old, here was proof that new beginnings aren't bound by age. In Japan, elders performing in NOH theater inspire packed audiences. In Brazil, master weavers in their 70s teach young artisans new patterns. And now, an American icon was showing the same spirit on a global stage. You might be wondering, what conversation could you spark with one bold creative act? Because it's never too late for a new beat. Now, remember that daring track I teased? Here's what happened. One song, a searing duet with a young metal guitarist, was deemed too edgy by label execs. They worried it would alienate Dolly's core fans. For a moment, Dolly considered cutting it, but then she asked her band, "Do we stand for comfort or courage?" Unanimous answer, courage. the track stayed. And in early streams, it's one of the most played. Here's where I want to hear from you. What's one creative risk you'd take if no one was watching? Or, what advice would you give someone younger about daring to reinvent? Next, we'll dive into how this album may change the way society views aging and creativity, and why your role in this shift matters. Because it's never too late for a new beat. Now, the album is out in the world. Reviews pour in. Fans young and old tune in. But here's the deeper impact, one that reaches far beyond charts and sales. Dolly's rock album is reshaping how we talk about creativity in later life. Just last week, an op-ed in the New York Times argued that older creators are a cultural force we've underestimated for too long. And the numbers back this up. Here's one stat you can quote. Creative output among Americans aged 65 and older has doubled since 2010. Doubled. You might be wondering, could this be your moment to join that wave? Because it's never too late for a new beat. In Japan, there's a term, ikigai, your reason for being. Many elders there find new purpose in late-life artistry, not as a hobby, but as a vital contribution to their community. Dolly's story echoes that spirit. She's not making this album to stay relevant. She's making it because it gives her life energy, and it inspires others to do the same. And here's the ripple effect. After her Tonight Show performance went viral last week, Google searches for creative hobbies after 65 spiked by over 40%. One artist's act opened a door for thousands. You might be wondering, could your next creative act open a door for someone else? Because it's never too late for a new beat. Next, we'll explore how Dolly's lifelong approach to learning fueled this project and how you can adopt the same mindset today. And I'll share a stat about seniors and brain health that just might surprise you. What drives someone to keep creating, decade after decade? For Dolly, the answer is simple: lifelong learning. She reads constantly, explores new music, learns from younger artists, and, perhaps most important, she stays curious. Now here's a surprising fact. Seniors who engage in lifelong learning reduce their risk of cognitive decline by up to 30%. That's according to a landmark study published by The Lancet. You might be wondering, what new skill, hobby, or art form could you explore this year? Because it's never too late for a new beat. During the album sessions, Dolly adopted what she called a beginner's mind. She asked basic questions, listened to feedback, let herself be coached by musicians young enough to be her grandchildren. And that's key. Embracing the role of student at any age keeps your mind nimble, your spirit open. Across the world, cultures that honor lifelong learning see greater creativity among elders. In Japan, community centers offer calligraphy and theater workshops for seniors. In parts of Europe, third-age universities teach arts and music to those over 60. Now, Dolly may not sit in a classroom, but she embodies that same spirit. You might be wondering, what's one area of curiosity you've set aside that's calling to you again? Because it's never too late for a new beat. Next, we'll return to a pivotal studio moment, the one late-night session where an unexpected guest changed the album's emotional core. And we'll explore how embracing creative courage can reshape your legacy, starting today. It was near the end of the recording process, The album had shape, soul, but something was missing. One night, deep into a session, Dolly invited her goddaughter, singer-songwriter Miley Cyrus, to visit the studio. They hadn't planned to record, just talk, catch up. But as they listened to rough mixes, Miley picked up an acoustic guitar. Dolly sang a line. Miley harmonized, and suddenly, the room shifted. They ended up recording an impromptu duet. Raw, intimate, imperfect. That track became the emotional centerpiece of the album. You might be wondering, what magic might happen if you simply showed up and tried without overthinking? Because it's never too late for a new beat. Here's what this moment revealed. Legacy is not just what you leave behind. It's what you build with others in real time. That late-night duet reminded Dolly that reinvention doesn't erase your past. It honors it, weaving old threads into new fabric. And here's something powerful. Elders who engage in creative collaborations across generations report higher happiness and lower loneliness scores. That's from a global survey on intergenerational creativity. You might be wondering, who could you invite into your next creative chapter? Because it's never too late for a new beat. Now, as we prepare to close this story, we'll loop back to where we began, and I'll share the single most surprising fact about creative aging you've heard yet. Stay with me. Warm sunlight kisses your shoulders as you stroll through a blooming garden. Faint songbirds in the distance. Just like these flowers bloom in new seasons, so too can your creativity. We began with a question. Would you dare chase a new dream when others say it's too late? Dolly Parton answered that question with her new rock album. At 79, she didn't just release music. She sparked a global conversation on creativity in later life. And here's the single most surprising fact. Older volunteers in creative programs boost community well-being by 30%. Your creativity doesn't just enrich you, it lifts everyone around you. That's from a Johns Hopkins study. You might be wondering, what could your next creative chapter look like? A new project, a shared experience, a chance to mentor someone younger. Because it's never too late for a new beat. And remember that subtle clue from the beginning? The late-night studio guest who helped reshape the album? It was Miley Cyrus, bridging generations through one spontaneous, heartfelt duet. Legacy and reinvention are not opposites. They are partners in the dance of life. And each of us, at any age, can choose to keep moving to a new beat. Before we part, a question for reflection. Would you rather start a new creative project now or mentor someone younger to do so? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this story sparked something in you, stay tuned. Next episode, how Paul McCartney's late career albums inspire millions worldwide. Another journey into the power of creative aging. Until then, remember, it's never too late for a new beat.